Every night is the Rangers Journal night.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Rangers Journal podcast. My name is Ross Dillon, and I have been drafted in due to last-minute sicknesses and illnesses and technical issues in left, right, and centre to be your host for this evening. Joining me to go through a Q&A night is Dino. Dean, how are we doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you, buddy. How are you getting on?
Getting drafted in at the last minute, feeling under a bit of pressure, but I don't think anything, as with Rangers, goes very smoothly. Obviously, it's our Q&A night, so hopefully I've got a lot of listeners get the questions in, and obviously as things happen with Rangers, it's never a dull day. Just wanted to obviously we're just going to wait on Kev. Hopefully he shows up soon with the technical issues at the moment. So excuse me. Obviously the kind of big thing that's happening this week, Rangers are obviously off to the French Riviera for the game against Nice, and Rangers have obviously appointed the long-awaited, finally brought in a CEO with the name of Patrick Stewart. No, not that one. Dean, I'll come to you about the CEO. It's been 6 months since we've been waiting on it. It's finally come in. It's not an eternal appointment, which I think we were all asking for. Do you think it's the right thing for us?
Aye, it's, as you said, 6 months, a long time coming, isn't it? I think we've got to, as the things are all doom and gloom at the moment, we've got to look at this with very much a lot of optimism and positivity, that this is hopefully the first step in many steps of correcting the issues that are deep within the club from top to bottom.
Absolutely. Obviously, Patrick Stewart, we don't know a lot about him apart from what's been reported in the media. He's obviously well educated. He's born in Aberdeen, got a law degree from the University of Glasgow, so he's obviously been around Scotland. He's obviously a football guy, so he'll know what Rangers means. Whether he's a Rangers supporter or not is up for debate. But do you think he's obviously well qualified with 18 years at Manchester United? Do you think he's the guy we kind of need to keep going?
Yes, his credentials, qualifications, experience tick all the above boxes that we need somebody in with. So, in terms of what team he supports, I really couldn't. That's irrelevant to me. It's what he does in the club that's going to I'm going to sing his praises of. So, as I said, optimism with what's happened in his previous roles, that he can actually be a success. There's a very low bar that's set for him, to be fair. So he's got a massive opportunity to be a really significant change in our history.
Absolutely, I think it's something that's well needed. We're finally joined by Kev. Kev, how you doing, mate? After your technical issues.
Not bad. That serves me right for waiting till last minute to try and do the update. But no, I'm good. How are you, boys?
We're good. We can't complain.
We're good, mate. We're good.
Obviously, Kev, we're just obviously bringing up the appointment in the last kind of day or two of Patrick Stewart as the new CEO. 6 months in the waiting for someone to come in, and obviously, as I said, it's not an internal appointment. Do you think it's going to be what we need as a club?
I'm hoping so. I think he comes with a good level of experience, I think, across the board in football. I know that he's not had loads of experience as a CEO before. I know he had a short stint, I think 6 or 7 months at Man United. So listen, he's worked at a big club for so long, and I think it's just good that we're starting to get these appointments across the line now.
I'd like to think so. Obviously, alongside that, the news kind of broke over the weekend post the Dundee United that Malcolm Offord is the favourite to become the chairman as well. Do you think should he get appointed? Is that another kind of a step in the right direction, Dean?
Aye. I couldn't. I mean, that's what I said. It's a very low bar that's there. Anything is a step in the right direction, in my opinion, at the moment. So, as long as we can get people in that are going to be staying in their roles for prolonged periods of time and enough time for them to make the vast changes that are needed across the board, then that's where I'm at with things, to be honest with you. We need to stop having these roles filled for short periods of time, and want some consistency in there. So hopefully this is the start of it.
Absolutely. Obviously, with the kind of building that we've now got, we've got Niels Coppin has kind of been promoted, a new CEO in place, a new chairman expected announcement within the next couple of weeks. You'd like to think that this is where we're going in the next, in the future, but you never know. Kev, just one more thing before we kind of move on from it. Do you think that the timing of the appointment is a bit saucy? Obviously, he starts December the 16th after the Tottenham game and after the cup final. Do you think that's a little bit of a coincidence, or do you think it's just damage limitations?
I mean, it's exactly what I would do, if I'm honest. I think you want to try and come in and, on a positive note, I think that, listen, I don't think anyone will kid themselves on and think that we're favourites going into either of the games in that week with Tottenham and obviously the cup final. You obviously don't know the reasoning behind that. I think people will have their presumptions and think it's because he wants to avoid his head being on a spike in his first week in the job. It could be anything. It could be working notice periods. It could be time for contracts to be signed, etc. But listen, I think I don't hold anything against them for wanting to start at that time. Because I think if I was in a similar position if I had an option, then I'd probably.
Okay, froze.
A little bit of technical issues.
At least he knows. At least he knows what he needs to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Apologies, we did lose Kev a little bit in the middle there. I think it's one of these nights, but it wouldn't be Rangers, without there being some sort of mid-game hiccup as well. It's just what we do. Obviously, moving on, guys. Rangers heading over to France this week. We're going to play Nice. It's nice to take the break from domestic football. Obviously, Europe's been a bit of a respite for us this season, with some good results, especially away from home, Malmo and Olympiacos. We play Nice, who are obviously a half decent, respected team in France. Do you think we can go over there and get a result?
I mean, as you said, Europe's probably been the only positive this season. But Nice are a pretty decent outfit, and we're once again licking our wounds after an abysmal domestic performance. So, yeah, good luck to all the troops going out there and supporting us. Fair play to you. Ross is on his way out with his old man, so I hope they have a great time. But yeah, I'm not particularly optimistic about anything at the moment, so don't ask me how we think we'll get on Thursday night, because it's not going to sound good.
I think that would just sum Rangers up, wouldn't it? After Saturday's debacle, going out there and putting on a performance. That's, like I say, that's the kind of the Rangers of the last few seasons in a bit of a nutshell. To be brutally honest with you. Kev, obviously, after Saturday's game, we went into the calm responses, I think, that we can expect from the Rangers support. Obviously, Philippe Clement has been under serious pressure. That would probably be a bit of an understatement. Do you think that going into this, he's started to learn maybe a lesson or two with the complete omission of James Tavernier from the squad entirely?
Potentially. But again, I generally wouldn't be surprised if it gets to Nice on Thursday and he starts. I think the problem that we've got is the injury to Casemiro now is going to put a lot of pressure on Sterling, who I think since he's came in is not proven to be a player that's been able to play 2, 3, 4 games in a row. But I think if you're looking for any sort of positives from Clement, is that he's starting to rest or drop Tavernier after poor performances, which no manager's done before. But listen, man, that's like really fine picking positives about Clement right now because I don't think there's many. But yeah, it looks as if he's learned his lesson. Not that made much of a difference, I thought, at the weekend, although I thought Sterling had an all right game. But we were still rubbish. So, yeah.
Obviously, make sure you get your question in, guys. This is your show, the Q&A. This is your show where you can get your points, your opinions, your questions answered by my two wonderful co-hosts here as well. Make sure you get your points across. Dino, obviously, Kev makes a point there talking about the consistency of the kind of right back position. Dujon Sterling, we want him to be the guy. We know we don't think we're going to get a consistent run of form out of him. We've lost Cassian Wheeljo to injury. Of course we have. Do you think that Tavernier comes back in for it, or do you think that, you know, Sterling has earned the right to kind of keep going in the position?
That's a tough one. Good point Kev just made there, though, which is that, you know, he's positive about Clement seen the light, what everybody's seen for a while, to drop Tav. Sterling, we want to see play, but his reliability for fitness is somewhat quite low, and is he able to sustain, you know, a game in Europe and then another league game at the weekend away to St Johnstone? It's going to be a very hard game. So does Tav come in on Thursday to give Sterling a rest for the league, which we're doing very bad at? It's Europe. You know, I would like to think that domestic is the priority for us improving our position in the league, and so you would think they would be coming in and playing Tav with one mind on Sunday, but it's a hard one because Tav's incredibly out of form, and so often we see that, you know, players that are out of form, you know, find it difficult to get back on form. So it's catch-22. Playing Tav going to result in us having a poor performance in Europe, and then more pressure on Clement then leading into Sunday. So what does he do? Does he stick or twist? That's the question. But I'd like to see what people's opinions are of that in the comments for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably for a little bit closer to the future question, and obviously from our very own Dave. Finlay Curtis he's already scored tonight for the B team. He seems to have a bit of a ridiculous goal record. Is that enough for him to make the step up to the first team in the long term, or do you think there's a little bit of an ulterior motive behind his seeming omission from the first team picture in general?
So I suppose for me, I think there would be no harm in trying it. That's all right. I think there would be definitely no harm in trying it. I think Clement has to do something different from what he's doing just now. I think if he's got any hope in keeping his job by the end of this year, then he needs to try something different. And why not give a young guy that's going on, scoring goals, getting assists on a consistent basis in a position that we're actually really struggling for performers in. At the start of the season, we thought we were overpowered with the amount of number 10s that we had, especially when we signed Bijrami. But as it actually looks like we're really lacking any real quality in that area. So why not give a young lad a chance? I think the thing for me where Clement probably would have got a bit more time, especially because he made comments about how he wanted to bring youth players through. See, if he actually had some of these younger guys getting minutes and playing, people would maybe buy into the idea a bit more and realise that it might take a bit of time. But he just keeps going with the tried and tested that just isn't working for him right now. So again, yeah, why not give one of these young kids a chance? He obviously gets a look at them on a regular basis. There's probably no doubt that Curtis does train with the first team as well. So there might be something that Clement sees that doesn't get the chance. But at the same time, sometimes you see managers when they're under pressure, they don't want to then go and take that gamble. But I think for the fans, I think we'll look at it and go, well, what have you got to lose at this point? Because no one wants you in the job anymore anyway. So why not give one of the younger kids a chance? That might be something that just saves his job. So for me, I don't see why not. I think Thursday maybe be a bit of a stretch. I don't even know if he's a part of the squad actually. But at the weekend in the league, why not try it out? Because what we're doing right now does not work.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, at the start, he did bring in Ross McCausland, was his kind of his kind of semi-success story, and then we did see a couple of fleeting appearances by Robbie Fraser, who was rewarded with a new contract. Whether that's Clement's decision or not, we don't know. He's obviously decided that, you know, maybe just doesn't fancy it. Maybe he doesn't fancy the youth that we've got. Who knows? Obviously, on top of that, if talking about, obviously, if Clement's got the people talking about Clement's future and things like that, with the new CEO coming in, do you think that, just obviously a question here again from our own Dave, if obviously with the silly speculation that in the first day the new CEO is going to come in and sack the manager, that's not going to happen, we don't think. Is the idea, is the things that Patrick Stewart needs to deal with, is the kind of structure of the club? Does that include dealing with the lack of access to the academy? Do you know?
Aye, he's got a monumental task in front of him, that's for sure. So many facets of the club are needing rectified, and thing is, he's got that much in front of him. It's going to take him a while, so we've got to, again, I'm going to use the word patient. We're going to have to be patient and believe in him, and give him, as I say, give him that time. I don't think that there's what's more is one thing more important than the other. I would say that everything's as important as each other, because they all fall into place in how the football club's ran. So just got to trust the process, and given, as I said, his experience and the credentials the man's got, he's obviously an incredibly intelligent man. So yeah, coming in, he's going to want to come in and make a name, and as I say, be a memorable appointment in our club's history. So I'm with everybody else on it, that, you know, he's going to come in and he's going to do the right things by the club. He'll make mistakes along the way for sure, but we're only human. Everybody makes mistakes, but as long as he holds his hands up and he, you know, goes about making amends, then yeah, he'll always have my full support. So in terms of what's more important, I think, as I said, everything's important, and there's so many things that are needed improved on. So yeah, hopefully he does in due course.
Definitely. Kev, obviously in the hypothetical scenario that you were Patrick Stewart and you were going into Rangers on the first day, Philippe Clement has said that there's been things on his desk that that he shouldn't have had to deal with as the manager of the football club. That's probably between him and Niels Coughlin. They probably had to do the job of 4 or 5 guys. If you were the guy that was going in there, what's the kind of first thing that you think would need to be prioritised? Would it be the academy? Would it be the structure? Would it be the relationships with the manager and the support? How would you go about it?
For me, I don't think the academy is really a priority. I think we've done countless pods and had many discussions on Rangers Academy. I don't think there's a real urgency for that. I think that can get sorted when it gets sorted. I think the priority right now is the playing squad. For me personally, I think the priority is discussions whether this manager is the right man to take us forward. I think that will be a priority. I think out with that, I know Niels Coughlin has just been promoted into sporting director, so potentially we need to look at someone to fill that role that he's just vacated. I think in terms of Clement, he should be a part of the conversations anyway around who we're signing, because it needs to be people that want to fit his system, whatever that system is. So I think we definitely need to recruit for what Niels Coughlin was doing before, because I think scouting is massive, and I think there's no denying that this needs to be a massive January. Whether we've got the funds there to spend or not, who knows? We'll find out that soon enough. I think that's one priority if you look at sort of positions to fill. But I think the major one, I think the big talking point and where the pressure will be applied on Stewart is that, especially the date he comes in, because if things don't go well in that week against Spurs and Celtic in the final, then we know what the fans' opinions are right now on the manager. Then that will 100% be his focus around what is the next steps.
Obviously, just kind of elaborating on that in a statement here from Paul. Paul's always contributing in the chat. the first thing that Patrick Stewart will do when he comes in is there will obviously be some sort of interview with him. Do you think that needs to be kept separate, and his introduction to the support needs to be kept separate from what we believe will be the inevitable downfall from the 2 games prior? Obviously, because he's gonna maybe take a little bit of the slack because of the state of the club, even though it's got nothing to do with him. Do you think that he needs to have constant dialogue, or do you think that perhaps just seeing the improvement will be enough for the support? Do you know?
I think you're right. Aye. I couldn't agree with everything, more than everything you just said there. That's, to be fair, I've honestly got nothing. Aye, it's exactly what I think. Yeah.
Obviously, what we're just kind of, if I can elaborate on that, what we're talking about is that Patrick Stewart's going to come in and he's going to make some sort of interview that's going to elaborate. He's going to say, "I want to do this, that, and the next thing."
Yeah.
Obviously, is he going to have to make a comment that should something go wrong, the 2 games prior, that he needs to be like, "This is a fresh start," or do you think just going out and saying, "Let me do my work, let me ignore these results, and we'll move on from there"? It's a completely clean slate for the club. He's running it day to day, and he's going to do it his way. All the reports have claimed that he has some sort of autonomy over how he wants to run the club, so he will have a lot of power within Rangers. So, do you think running it from a kind of outsider's perspective is the best way to do it? And if they see change, then the fans will buy in maybe quicker than we would like to think?
To be honest with you, if he's saying clean slate and stuff, it can be a clean slate for Clement. You know, like as Kev just said, if the results of those 3 games go how we predict that they're going to go, you can't just then come in and it's a clean slate for Clement, so what's just happened the last however many months is irrelevant. And then he goes on and still fails massively. You know, I think he's only going to look a bit daft if he's still got Clement as manager. And if he's able to find a way for Clement to leave that is not financially detrimental to the club, I'm pretty sure that will be a topic of conversation.
Do you think then, in a hypothetical scenario, Kev, that he comes in and if he just, say for instance, decides to sack Clement within a couple of weeks, that buys him brownie points?
I mean, it'll shed a good light on him. I think people will still be sceptic of the board in itself. I think we seem to just be kicking the can down the road at the moment. I think this experiment just certainly hasn't worked. I think we kind of shot ourselves in the foot with Bennett coming out, and saying that we need to break that cycle of sacking managers every October. So I think they're trying to save their blushes right now by then not going back on that. And I do agree with what they're saying. I think as a club, we can't afford to be sacking managers every single October, but at the same time, doesn't mean that you stick with the wrong guy just because we don't want to do that. To go back to your question, do I think it'll get on brownie points? Yeah, I think fans would see it as a good start, but I think that's only backed up if he then goes and gets the right appointment in. And I think that in itself could be quite difficult. I think Rangers are kind of similar to the way Chelsea have been for years right now, where we seem to just sack managers every year the minute things aren't going well. So I think we do need to make sure that the next appointment is a good one, whether that we look at some sort of short-term, strong interim position where we really wait to get the right guy in place. But I think the CEO will he'll essentially be assessed come the end of the season to see where we finish. I think that there'll not be many Rangers fans that think that we can go and win the league this year. But I think to go and make sure that we finish second comfortably and hopefully try and pick up some cups along the way, as well as a good run in Europe in the January window. I think there's loads of things that it will be assessed on in such a short period of time. I think it would be off to a good start in many fans' eyes with dismissing the manager, but like I said, it just really depends who backs that up with. Because if it goes and gets another terrible appointment in, then fans will just be straight on his back again. I think at a club like ours, we demand success, we demand strong performances. We're not getting that right now, so if he can be the one that makes that change to then bring that back to Rangers, then yeah, fans will appreciate it.
Absolutely. I think that if he comes in and he makes tough decisions that other guys have not been willing to make, then like you say, it buys him time, and I think it buys him, the support will kind of get on his side a little bit easier. He's obviously, I think that the appointment of him, obviously, Dino, the appointment of Patrick Stewart as an external guy will kind of go in the board's favour, because they've been so prone over the last few years to internal appointments and promotions of guys who you could argue weren't perhaps, qualified enough to do the role that they were good for. James Bisgrove was a good money making guy. He was a good finance guy. He wasn't good at running the club day to day. There was obviously rumours of him falling out with players and staff left, right, and centre. So, but at the same time, do you need to have someone that comes in and isn't everybody's pal? Do you think that he's got to come in and still make tough decisions, but do it in a way that's more professional?
Yeah, there was definitely a change in direction needed, and that's exactly, he's not coming in to be pals with everybody. He's coming in to make this club better, and if that means that there's going to be some there's a term I just had in my noses out of joint, then so be it. I don't care. But if he's making the hard decisions that are that's going to make the club better for a prolonged period of time, then I'm all for it. And that's so when you're in that position with that much responsibility, you can't be just making decisions to keep folk happy. You've got to make decisions that's going to make the business run better, and that's his job at the end of the day. So yeah, I'm all for it. And if he's going to be coming in and there's going to be certain board members, non-executive board members and things like that that aren't happy, then yeah, so be it, even if they're Rangers men or not.
Absolutely. I think that he's obviously got to, like I say, he's got to be the bad guy, but do it in a management style. I mean, nobody likes it. Nobody likes the boss, but a lot of people still respect the boss. And I think that's something we've lacked, is that a guy to make the decisions, but still have the respect of kind of those that work for him. Kev, I'm going to just divert away from the boardroom fiasco to the on-pitch fiascos. Obviously, like we were talking about earlier, we're going Thursday to Europe, where we tend to play quite good. And a question here came from Scott, obviously, about the quality of the squad. It's been under scrutiny for a long time about the recruitment and about how the team plays. But the guy, Scott's obviously asked, is like, does the manager play a significant role in the output of the players, in terms of, obviously he picks the tactics, but is he the reason why the team is so slow and so passive? Because surely, to goodness, at some point you've got to kind of take a little bit of initiative, or does that need to come from the manager telling them to, go out and be fearless? And should someone else with a bit of an attacking, more of an attacking, philosophy, would that bring out more in the same guys, or are we just kind of at a point now where it's too far along?
Listen, I'm not for a second going to say that this is all purely down to Clement, because the players will need to take some responsibility. I think you look at Man United, for example, they've got the new manager and they were still pathetic when they played the other night as well. But I think the manager's to blame for maybe the lack of inspiration he's getting across, the lack of identity. He obviously has a style of play. He plays that 4-2-3-1. It's really clear what he wants to do. I just don't think it suits us. It doesn't suit Scottish football. I generally wouldn't be surprised on Thursday if we go out and get a result, by the way. I think he's very similar to Gio in a way, where I thought his style really suited well to Europe. He just didn't in the league, but he just doesn't seem to have the ability to sort of change that. So I think it does lie with him. The reason why our performances and our results are the way they are, that does lie with the manager. I think the fact that his starting lineup sometimes are incorrect. I think his changes are wild sometimes. I think to give an example, that he brought Igman on, who, listen, no harm to him, but I thought he made zero difference when he came on. Put him out left when he's a striker, but then put John Souttar up top. Some of the wild decisions he makes, that all lies on his responsibility. I don't think the players will take responsibility for his shape, his style, his changes. They should be given a bit more effort. I think Cherney, for me, was the only one that got pass marks from the weekend at against Dundee United. So I think the players should have some more self-motivation, and we've got an experienced team that they should be able to show initiative and see things that aren't working. But then again, we've got a manager that is so stubborn, so set in his ways, that when players aren't playing the way he wants them to play, he's not shy in taking them off. I think Cantwell was an example of that last season when he taken off around 30 minutes. So I think the players might be looking at it going, well, we don't even have the ability to show initiative, because as soon as we do something the way he doesn't want to do it, we'll be hooked. So I think it does lie with Clement, and I think he should be making a lot of these players better. And the team that we've got and the wages that we play, we should be blowing all these teams in the league away, in all respect to them. And we really should just have 4 one-off games against Celtic every season. Rangers should be dominating all of these games. We should be having the most shots in goal, high level of possession, most amount of goals scored. But we're just not. We're so boring to watch right now. And that does lie with the manager.
I think a lot of that does as well. Dino, and to kind of add on to that, obviously there's been the kind of damning statistic that's come out that Rangers are still, I think, the only club in the top flight to not score from a set piece this season. It's not. I don't think it's due to a lack of, a kind of lack of trying, because we're very, very good at just lumping the ball in. Do you think that's the lack of? I think Clement has been quoted as saying that he doesn't want a set piece coach. Do you think, as somebody who, as a player, was a centre half that probably liked to win a set piece, do you think that's a little bit concerning of his lack of attention towards working on set pieces, considering how important they are, especially in Scottish football, where a lot of teams do focus on it because of the kind of style of play that they want to use?
Yeah, it's quite damning that somebody can be so obtuse to something like that. I think I know it's a higher level, but you only need to look at the difference that is made to Arsenal and the amount of success that they have from bringing in a set-piece coach. I mean, you can see it's clear as day that we're absolutely useless at them. And given that, we probably have more corners in the game than the team that we're playing against as well. So corners, free kicks, whatever, they're actually, they're probably quite high. So you've got to think, well, let's invest in how we can actually make the most out of these opportunities. And I mean, I've seen it a couple of times. We scored from an in-swinging corner, maybe the only one we scored this year, probably. And I'm pretty sure it was the same game or the game after. It goes back to hitting out-swingers. Now, for me, out-swingers aren't as effective as in-swingers. Fair enough, there's stats and whatever, but I've watched us for many years, and I would say we're far more successful with in-swinging corners. But it's the same as well when we have throw-ins. With a high percentage of the time, we just throw it straight to the opposition. It takes so long to set up for a throw-in. There's no urgency to put a throw in. There's no so there's just so many things that are wrong. And as Kev said, that's totally and utterly on Clement, and him saying that he doesn't want to get hired a set piece coach. Like, is his ego that bad that he thinks that he's the Messiah and he's going to solve our set piece issues? Do you know what I mean? That's why he doesn't want to bring a set piece coach in. It's crazy, because we've all been screaming out for a set piece coach for long enough now, and yeah, we're just subjected to watching. Like when we used to play before years ago, you would get a set piece in an attacking position or a corner, and they were putting pressure on the opposition. You're thinking, we might actually get a goal here. A corner goes on, I just look at when the corner comes. I just look at my phone because I know it's going to be the same result. So, aye, as Kev said, that's on Clement. So, only way that's ever going to change is when he's not in here. He's not in that position. That's the only time that's going to change. So, as long as he's here, but we're subjected to watching that absolute drivel.
Absolutely. I think probably it's been a few years since we had the Joe Aribo run at the front post. That was all. It was Tom Culshaw who kind of made their set pieces more of a threat. I think at times it maybe became a little bit predictable, but when it came off, we got a lot of joy out of it. Especially in the kind of 55 season, everybody remembers the goal at New Year where it's a deflection, a game we win that we didn't even get a shot on target, but it comes from a set piece. You create carnage, you create chaos, and where there's chaos, there's opportunity, and we don't do enough of that anymore. Obviously, you would like to think that just kind of sticking on the set piece thing, the coaching team, Kev, that Philippe Clement has, he was given Stefan van der Heyden. He has Alex Ray. Alex Ray is obviously known and not always. I don't think he's particularly well liked amongst a large portion of the Rangers support for his coaching ability. He was given Andreas Oldernick. I think there's at a point where you kind of have to question, what did they do? What's the point of them? Because surely the whole point of having a coach is to coach things into the team. But when you've got no patterns of play, you've got no nothing really. What's the point? Or is that again down to what the manager is telling them to do?
Yeah, listen, I think when it comes to the coaches, they'll obviously put their tuppence worth in terms of ideas or suggestions across. But the coaches in any football club, they'll be directed by the manager around what he wants to see from the session. I think Clement's been quite big on the fact that he likes to run the training sessions himself. Whereas I think it was a bit different when Gerrard was here, for example, where he would oversee the sessions and maybe put his ideas across what he would like to see in terms of style of play. So I think, listen, the coaches that are there will be going by the way Clement wants the sessions to be done and how he wants them to look. I think when we've seen him pre-season, it was Clement that was leading all the sessions that was going through. I think the idea behind the Alex Ray one is I think they wanted someone that knows the club. And listen, I'm all for that. I think you need to have like a Scottish manager involved in the setup. I don't think that necessarily is important for being the manager, but I think it is important to have someone that's got an idea of expectations and the expectation to win trophies and games, etc. But in terms of what he does do, I think without actually being there, you've no idea. I think when you watch us on the pitch, you would kind of think that the players have just got 5 days off during the week and they're not doing anything in training, or they're just sitting playing, I don't know, head of tennis or something like that. But it's really hard to see what we're trying to do and what we're trying to implement in games. And if I just go back, you were mentioning about set pieces. Probably the biggest concern for me is that we're actually in a position now where we're desperate just from goals to come from somewhere. Our lack of goals this year is such a concern for me when I'm looking at it. I think we've got 55 goals all season so far. I think we're on track to get only 55 goals for the season, should I say. Which, when you think about that, if we were to end on that at the end of the season, where does that leave us in the league? 3rd, 4th, potential, when you look at the lack of goals coming in. When you compare that to, I think, the last 5 seasons, I've seen a stat, it's less than half of what was scored in any of the last 5 seasons, even in seasons where we've not performed particularly well when you look at the end result of the table. So that's a big thing for me. I think we need more goals. If they come from set pieces, great. I think we need to get goals from everywhere else. And that comes from more attacking style.
Yeah, absolutely. Dino, you mentioned something when you were talking about Rangers getting corners. You just know the eye test tells you that we're not going to get anything. Thomas has put a thing saying that there's obviously an over reliance on data, metrics, optics, sports science. It's statistics are the end thing in football at the moment. I don't think there's a club anywhere in the world. I think even junior football at times, seems to almost have guys that look at data and look at where's the right position to be. But do you think at this moment in time we're putting too much reliance on it as opposed to what the players are actually doing in front of us? If we've got guys that he ran 10k but he didn't do anything, is that a successful game for a player? You talk about Diamandi. Diamandi does a lot of running. He doesn't always do a lot in terms of the game. So, but his data looks good. Is that a fair thing that they should be doing, or should they be looking at what the players are actually contributing to the game?
You can look at what the players are contributing to the game and look at, you don't need statistics for you to see what their attributes are and what they can bring. I.e., putting somebody short in the box when you've got somebody tall sitting on the halfway line is just utterly baffling when you're trying to score for a corner. You should be getting your tallest players in the box, the biggest players that are going to be the biggest threats to winning headers. Be it because statistics is telling you differently, you've got to have a player of Jefty's height and size defending a corner that we're attacking, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I don't really think that there's, you know, in my opinion, the stats are just irrelevant in that case, and I wouldn't be having as well. And I know it's different because they were defending it, but then when you see Conor Barron defending a corner, but he's defending somebody that's half a foot taller than him, is just, again, utterly baffling. So it all comes down to obviously management and coaching and whatever, I guess, going for a bit of a tangent here, but whatever stats are saying that's what you have to do. So yeah, they are, you know, stats are there to be utilised, and for sure utilise them in the best way that you can, but there should come a time where you actually just need to look at it from a, you know, a point of view where it's not even needed, because you can tell what somebody's good at and what somebody's not good at.
Yeah, absolutely. Kev, the managers in a lot of his post matches, when things haven't went well, has tended to pull out statistics to kind of justify performances. Do you think that's a little bit of kind of clutching at straws, or do you think it's something that, as we've said, do you think he truly believes it, or do you think he's perhaps just at a stage where he's like, well, I'll just say kind of any old stuff just to kind of make it look good? We know obviously that post matches are almost a little bit of a PR stunt to kind of try and make him look good. I think until the day he gets sacked, he will continuously be talking about the 6-0 Ross County win, because it's the only thing, you know, I think we've got at the moment. Do you think he's kind of clutching at straws a bit, or do you think it's just he just truly believes it?
Nah, to be fair, I think I think his post-match comments are very like carbon copy of the way Ten Hag sounded towards the end of his time at Man United. I think managers sometimes try and look for ways to potentially gaslight the fans into that things aren't that bad, and that's the way that I've taken. I think I've seen him coming across as if he's gaslighting the rest of the fans to try and, as if it's like tricking us into saying that things aren't as bad as what they are. They're terrible. But I get that we had one good win against Ross County. Fair enough. That was a good game. I enjoyed being at it. Enjoyed celebrating 6 goals. But God, we just do not score. We don't create anywhere near enough the same amount of chances as he thinks that we are. I think sometimes if he's looking at the stats, then yeah, fair enough. We might have more possession, or we might technically have more shots. But when we're leaving games right now, we're looking at it and going, how many clear-cut chances did we have? Dessers was getting so much stick about the clear-cut chances he was missing last season. He's not even really missing anything. He's not even creating anything. He's touching the ball. Well, he touched the ball 8 times in the first half in the last game. And if you're the number 9 for Rangers, playing up top in that sole striker role against Dundee United at Ibrox in the league, you should be getting up-teen chances in that first half. And listen, that's not me defending Dessers in any way, because I don't think he is good enough. But we generally just aren't creating enough chances right now. And that's everyone's responsibility on the pitch. But I think a lot of it is just coming down to the shape that we've got. I think the only bit of sympathy I'd maybe have with Clement is that I think his shape is solely dependent on having quick wingers. And when you look at that Ross County game, we had Matondo out left, who that was probably his best game in a Rangers shirt. And I think we just have really lacked any pace since that period. But I think that's where that responsibility lies in the manager around, right, okay, cool, I need to change this because I don't have the players to fit this system right now. So I need to change it and do something different. They decided just to stick with the same system with no pace up top. I mean, Czerny's kind of fast, but when you look at maybe the likes of like Cortez and Matondo, who I think would be more suited if you look at Sima as well last year, I think we do need pace if we're going to play in that shape, and we just lack it just now. I think Bajrami looks so lost out on that left-hand side. He's just unfortunately had to play there because we've got genuinely no one else.
Yeah, definitely. I think when you've got kind of when you're playing a team that's just been promoted as well as Dundee United have done, you're playing them at home and you're not creating nearly enough, or you're not taking enough chances. We did make a lot in the second half, but you're not able to bury them away. They're the games that will seriously cost you. Obviously, in the kind of coming weeks, we do have we do have some fixtures, and obviously just to go down a question here from Airwolf, you have put it in a couple of times, and we're not ignoring it. We're just trying to kind of come on to it. Obviously, there's been some bad fixtures up until January the 26th. Do you think you're better keeping Clermont through that? Obviously, the kind of next coming games we've got Nice on Thursday, we're away to St Johnstone on Sunday, then we're at home to Kilmarnock and Ross County, away to Ross County. They are quite favourable fixtures, the kind of next 4. Or do you think, guys, Dino, we'll start with you, Dino, first. Do you think at this moment it's just getting through game to game until such times as, I think the inevitable happens?
There's no way on earth. I think the club, the fans can be able to sustain Clermont until the 26th of January. That is, man, we'll all be on speed dial to the Samaritans if that's the case. I think no, I'm just trying to think of no chance. Cannot see that. How, like, if that is the case, then there will be like immediate questions asked of Mr. Wilson's ability to do the job, and quite rightly, Rangers fans will be looking at everything under a microscope that he does then going forward, and have no trust in him being able to make big decisions, because the big decision that every Rangers fan is saying for him to make is obviously releasing Clermont of his duties, and as I said, in a way that's not going to be financially detrimental. So 26th of January that's too far down the line in my opinion.
Kev, I'll just end that, top that question up with you. Like I say, we've got Nice, St Johnstone, Ross County, Kilmarnock in the next 4 games. Do you think that a bad result in any of them, probably apart from Nice, is the kind of final nail in the coffin, or do you think we will trudge on to closer to when Santa shows up?
I think for me, I think what I think should happen and what I think will happen will probably be different. I don't think any decision is going to be made on the manager until the new CEO comes in, if I'm being brutally honest. I think in terms of what should happen, I think that this decision should have been made after the Aberdeen game. I think when you look at the previous 2 dismissals, you had Gio, who was relieved of his duties, being 9 points behind Celtic in November. You then had Michael Beale, who was sacked when he was 7 points behind Celtic in October. Right now, we are, now 9 points, because I know Aberdeen drew tonight, but we are 9 points behind second place Aberdeen and 11 points behind Celtic in November. That's criminal for a Rangers manager, transition or not. I think we always knew it was going to be a struggle this season to compete for the title, with us being in a transition, but we should not be trailing this far already. I think we're on course to finish 20 odd points behind Celtic this season, which is like unthinkable, and I don't think any Rangers manager should survive that transition or not. That's a really, really poor season. So I think for me, the decision should have been made weeks ago. I think it's only going to get more and more toxic until the inevitable happens. I do think we will beat the likes of St Johnstone. I do think we can probably get a result on Thursday. I do think we can probably beat Kilmarnock. It's at home, isn't it? If I'm right in saying that, I do think we can pick up results, but I think the performances will be so poor. I look back to when Michael Beale got the win against Motherwell, I think it was, and it was just such a bad performance. Booed off half-time, full-time, even with the win. It'll be the same. I generally just can't see overnight our style of play improving dramatically, and I think sometimes picking up wins against, let's be honest, teams that we should be beating just isn't enough, because we know if we turn up in that sort of manner and play against the likes of a Celtic or even right now in Aberdeen, then it's only going to end one way. So I think for me, I think time's up for Clermont. Thank him for his time, I suppose, but I think we need to be looking on it, right, okay, cool, who's actually going to make us better? Because right now it's just not looking good. But I don't think a decision will be made until the CEO's in place, unless something dramatic happens. I think if we see some really, really bad results over the next month and attendances drop even further than what they are just now, or protests outside the stadium, I think we might see the board act on it. I know that Stuart or Patrick Stewart doesn't come in until the 16th or something it is. I'd imagine he'd be a part of the conversation if things are going dramatically bad. That he might go, nah, right, okay, cool, nah, I'd be on the same page.
Yeah, and
that was a very long answer, but
no, not at all, not at all. Just last bit to you, Dino. In the hypothetical scenario that we win the League Cup final, does that buy him time, or do you think the damage is done?
Aye, the damage is well and truly done. How many points were behind Celtic again, did you say, Kevin?
11.
11 points behind Celtic, and we're not even at the end of November. Yeah, there's no way that he's able to turn that one around. No chance. Damage is well and truly done. It's to obviously say what everybody else says. When you lose the fans, the game's a bogey. There's no way on earth he's getting the fans back. As Kev just pointed out, attendances are lowering all the time. So from a financial point of view for the club, which is one of our main probably financial incomes, isn't it, is ticket sales. So yeah, there's no way he's keeping his job. But I mean, let's be honest, we're not beating Celtic. So yeah, I know it's hypothetical, but yeah.
I know it's a sad state of affairs, but I think on a positive note, we've got a great record in Europe, and I think that Nice are a beatable team. Do you think, obviously, Kev, we're going to go to France and get a result? Because that would be the most Rangers thing ever, wouldn't it?
Listen, I do think we can get a result. I don't think they've had a particularly great start in their own Europe League campaign, so they might need to come out and go for it because they really need to pick up a win. I think that will really suit us because I think we will look to try and play on the counter-attack. We might have Fat Cortez is next week, isn't he? He's back. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we could pick up a result. I'm not confident that we'll go and win, but I think we can go and pick up a draw. And listen, I think a draw we would take every day of the week, to be fair. I think that really suits us going into the final few games. But I don't think there's a massive amount of pressure for us have to go get a result. And again, that might just suit our players because they seem to crack under the inevitable pressure. So yeah,
definitely. Dino, you finish with give us a positive point, Jake. We're going to go and get a result.
Nice, no.
Nice, no.
Sorry, mate.
You're killing me. You're killing me. Well, I think it's one of those things. I think you need to be open and honest about
it. I don't know. Again, I think there is an element of players have down tools as well. So, the players know the manager's on his way out. So it's the same old. They don't really seem to perform when the manager is en route out the door. So I think that's going to go into Thursday's performance. And Nice are a good side. They've got fast wingers, a fast number 9. Yeah, I've got a funny feeling that they're going to cause us all sorts of problems.
Well, I'd like to think that we would show up, but like I say, you have no idea what Rangers are going to turn up. We'll call it quits for this evening. Thank you so much to everybody for your comments, for your questions. If you like what you see, obviously please share, subscribe to the Rangers Journal on all your social media platforms. I just want to say, first of all, thanks, Dino.
Thank you for having me on. It's a good debut hosting Moscow, so it was it was a good pod. It was a good flow. You done well, mate.
It was stressful considering a couple of minutes before we weren't even sure what was happening. Kev, thank you so much for stepping up despite all your computer issues.
No worries at all. It was a pleasure being on. Probably just another thing as well, guys. We launched our interview with Billy Davies that had taken place last Thursday. That went up tonight, so if you want to go over and have a wee look over that as well.
Absolutely. Billy Davies getting back in the media limelight. I think we could all look at that. He's he's a good guy and a good Rangers guy. So get yourself over there and check that out. Good interview with Billy Davies, former Nottingham Forest, and perennial link with the Rangers manager's job. I think every single time in the last 20 years he's been linked with us. So get over there and watch that. Just again, thank you very much to everybody for watching and for your comments and questions. And remember, every night is a Rangers Journal Night. Take care, and we'll speak to you again very, very soon. Bye bye.